I am joined by former Syracuse and NBA superstar, current NBC sports broadcaster, and as of last month, NBA Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony. Hi, Carmelo. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yes, blessings.
I want to get into the NBC broadcasting stuff and have a few other questions for you in a second, but I want to start with you are joining us from Baltimore right now because that city where you grew up is celebrating you with an exhibit, which is kind of an interesting thing. I'm not really sure I've quite heard of this before. Explain to us what's going on there.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, I am in Baltimore City right now, back home. I'm here waiting this weekend. We're launching, we're opening up the House of Melo at the Enoch Pratt Free Library, downtown Baltimore. And we're just doing this. This is an ode back to, they're going to say they're honoring me, but I'm really giving back to the city by allowing myself and my career, my journey to be displayed at the Enoch Pratt Free Library, one of the biggest free libraries in the country. So it was very, thought out, intentional on doing something like that at a free library where, schools and kids and the youth could come and get back into the libraries. Most times you see this at like a museum or a different type of establishment, but doing it at a library it means something different. It feels different. It's special. And again, I'm here to help the city, right? So I'm here to help the people and the youth and to get these kids back into libraries. And it's not the same old library like we grew up on, back in the day. It's totally different now. The way you consume, the way you read, the way you interact is totally different now. So I want to give the city just that.
What did you think of how the first NBC Sports broadcast went?
I love it. Aside from the mics, we were good. We adapted to the mics. We adjusted to the mics. It was a great thing, though, man. When I watched it back, I'm like a player. I study tape and I do all of that. So I watched it back and I'm like, man, while you in the moment, it feel like it's a long time. It just feel like a fall, just a slow fall. And when you watch it back, it's like, okay, that was, we adapted. We made it part of the show. We made it fun. But it's great, man. It's, aside from that, it was no issues. The team is great. You could tell that we have a good chemistry, and we only gonna get better being around each other. And the more times that we're around, and we get to talk the game of basketball with 3 Hall of Famers. You have Maria, she's the best at what she does, and I'm just happy to kind of get this thing going.
I've got to ask you about your outfit. Some people online were commenting that they noticed that your colleagues were wearing suits and you were wearing sort of a zip-up like what you're wearing now. Tell me the thought that went into that.
It was just a cool, casual look. It was black dress pants. It was a black dress jacket that was just zipping up. It wasn't half zip. It was a whole zip-up jacket. It had a nice Brioni brown shirt underneath, nice Marnie's dress suit. So it was good. It was funny hearing all the comments. I'm me. NBC allows me to come and be who I am, and I'm very professional. I'm very respectful. So I just looked at it like it was funny. And it's first night. I mean, I'm gonna be doing this for the next 5-6 years, right? So, I'm here. You're gonna see all types of outfits.
I'm curious because what it struck me with was that it's like a younger look. And of course you do a podcast. And so I'm wondering, has NBC executives told you like, we're trying to go for a younger audience, or we're trying to play the nostalgia play and go for an older audience? Like, do you know who the demographic you're trying to reach is?
Well, we know who the demographic is that have been watching the NBA. We know what that demographic, and we know that it's a younger generation that has been, the connectivity has been lost when it comes to the younger generation in NBA. They consume different, they watch it differently, they watch certain things differently. It's not so much as they're watching what you wear. They're watching who you wearing, what brands you're wearing. Like, this is the younger generation. It's like, yes, I'm gonna have suits on. I'm gonna wear suits. But it's like we want to bring a fresh take to this game too, which is why NBA is on NBC and this new kind of partnership. We want to get the younger generation to watch the game of basketball and not just watch it on their phones and then highlights and things. We want to bring you in this whole experience. So it's fun. It's fun to me to get this going.
You know, like the inside the NBA is sort of the archetype for all studio shows. And clearly, NBC seems to have its own kind of version of that. I just read an article by Andrew Marchand who said one of the things NBC's trying to do is maybe be a little bit more uplifting about the game and not be so kind of hating like inside the NBA tends to do. But I do wonder if that kind of cruel, brutal reality is what makes that show sing. How do you balance criticism versus showcasing the game and being maybe a little bit more optimistic than that show?
Well, it's not gonna. We're not them. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing it. You have to take your hat off to those guys and what they built. They've been doing it for a long time, right? So they are settled into who they are and the message that they're gonna put out there and what they're gonna talk about. With us, and we don't compare ourselves to nobody. We're building something completely new. We're building something different. We're creating a fresh voice. You know, I don't want to say a new voice. We're creating a fresh voice in this space. Everybody have an opportunity to talk the game of basketball and do it their way. I think what we're doing is we're providing the viewer and even a younger generation, even people who don't watch the game of basketball, a fresh take. For myself to be up there, I don't have to bash somebody to talk about the game of basketball. I can talk about the athlete and what the basketball player is going through, what he's going through in the last 2, 3 minutes. What is he thinking about in that timeout? Why did he just make that pass? What players have, like, I can talk the game from that perspective. And we've all done it. We've all done it in our own rights, in our own situation. And we've done it at every level of this game. So for us, it's about uplifting the game. It's about speaking the game, talking the game, not being afraid to be opinionated because we all have that. But we have an opportunity to bring a fresh take to this game and actually support the game. And I think that's what's missing. There's no more support the game. It's just talk about the players, talk about what they didn't do, talk about field goal percentage, talk about stats, talk about numbers. Like, no, I want to get back to the essence of who the basketball player is, who was the person. I don't want to, the character. We want to show the character. I don't want to talk about the character.
As you got late into your career playing, did you start to think, oh, broadcasting is something that I want to do? Or did this thing come together real recently?
It came together very, very fast. It was something that forever I was just like, I don't want to get on the desk. I don't want to talk the game of basketball. I don't like the way that they talk about me while I'm playing. I don't like the way they talk about other athletes or basketball players in this sense. That's not something I want to be a part of. I just thought that it was becoming very watered down in the sense of how the game was being spoken about. And it took some time, and it took some time for me to kind of just get out of that mindset and people talking to me and advice and having conversations and perspective at the end of the day. I had to put everything into perspective.
Of course, you went to Syracuse, which is known for sports broadcasting. I don't know if you have any connections there, but I want to bring up Syracuse because your son now plays there. And of course, the big story in college basketball is NIL money. You were sort of the archetype for one and done. I'm curious, had NIL been around when you played, would you have stuck around and played longer at Syracuse?
That is situational, right? I mean that by saying, what I mean by saying that is, if I was playing at NIL, when I was playing at NIL was around, if I had a chance to go to the NBA and just say, hey, I'm an 18th pick, I'm 22 pick, I'm the 25th pick, but I'm making millions of dollars in college, I'm going to stay in college because there's the pressure of me going to the NBA, trying to make a team, trying to make a contract, deal with everything that comes along with being a part of the NBA and just that journey, right? And trying to figure it out. I'd rather be comfortable. I'd rather be in a comfortable situation knowing that I'm going to get a check every year. I'm being paid for what I love to do. It's college. It's a different fan base. It's a different community. It's a different connectivity. So yeah, me probably I probably would have, figured out. In my situation, I'd have been gone. I was a third pick, won a national championship. I'd have been gone. But there's guys I talk to today that I'm like, look, if you're projected to be 25 and to 30 and late first round, second round, but you're making millions and millions of dollars in college, what's the rush? The NBA is not going anywhere.
When you say there's guys you're talking to, are you including your son in that conversation among the guys?
1,000%. 1,000%. Absolutely. And I tell him all the time, the league is not going nowhere. Be patient. And again, we don't speak about it. We don't talk about leaving. We don't talk about one and dones. We're gonna enjoy this and we're gonna have some fun.
I've got to ask you about the story of the day, which I have a feeling is going to turn into the story of the week, and you'll probably be talking about it on NBC. This idea of these, sports betting scandals. Here's my first question towards you. Is this an open secret? Like, while you were playing, even toward the end of your career, when legalized betting started to come around, were you aware that there were certain players that maybe were doing this type of thing?
No, because those things is like closed doors. You don't really hear about those things unless you want to hear about them, right? If you're not involved in those things, you're not involved. You don't. It's not like it's open conversation. Those conversations are not open. Those are closed conversations for people who's actually dealing with that. And again, you don't know. You could be around people, you don't know what they do on their off time. You don't know what's happening out there.
Are you concerned at all about the integrity of the sport now that sports betting is so widespread?
It concern. Concern is a very deep word. It's a very strong word. I think some things need to be figured out because what's happening is it's starting to put a lot of pressure on the athlete. And athletes they may say, hey, we don't care about parlays, we don't, but they care about it because it affects them. They mentally it affects them, and they don't want to have to come to a game and be worrying about their own fans cheering them or booing them because they didn't make the parlay. They supposed to get 25 points, but they got 22, 23 points. And what it does is it changes the narrative of the game because just because you bet on 25 points and I got 22 points, now that makes me you look at me differently. Now I'm not the same type of player. Now I'm not this. Now I'm losing my skill set. Now I'm losing. So it's just so much that comes along with that. So yes, it do needs to be some ramifications around it, and I'm sure the powers that be are looking into that.
We're CNBC. I have to ask you about your business interests. You have a cannabis company. You have a wine company. I know your collaboration with a tequila. I guess I sense a theme or a trend there, but I'm curious, just like, what's your bar? Like, what goes into a Carmelo Anthony decision about, yeah, this is a business that I want to invest in?
Yes, I only do things I love to do and love to be a part of. I love wine, so why not be a part of that business? Not just consuming, but why not be a part of the overarching business of the wine industry? So I'm taking it. You talk about tequila and partnering with 1800. This is about me taking it from doing one SKU of wine to building a beverage company, right? So it's more so about the business of the beverage company as opposed to it is of creating an individual wine. The cannabis part of the cannabis business is wellness, right? For me, it's when in doubt, stay mellow. It's how do you go along your day and remain, strong in the midst of chaos? How do you sit silent and understand what you're doing, what you're consuming? I try to teach people and educate people on how to consume, when to consume, how to consume, what to consume, what is it for? If you want to sleep, you want to wake up, you want to, throughout the course of your day. So I created that, and I call mine the triple threat effect, right? It was rev, recover, and relax, right? And we identify everything within those three pillars. And then everything else that I have going on, my media company, building that up with 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. We're on our third season, which is amazing. We just had our upfront at the office, so amazing. And then with NBC, right? And just building that whole media and production company of things. And somebody asked me what I'm gonna be doing in 3, 4 years. I don't know. I don't know I don't know what I'm gonna be doing in a couple of weeks. But I do know that I'm gonna continue working and continue to build.
I know you're buddies with LeBron James. Are you starting to get in his ear a little bit about post-basketball life?
Not yet, because and I understand at this point in time it's a very sensitive time, man. And you battling the love and the passion and everything that you have for the game. And you're also battling, hey, family, and you know, it's coming to an end, and this is the end. And I've been doing it for 20 something years. So it's almost seesaw in a sense. So I try not to kind of put that, you know, kind of just talk about that and allow him to just be him and do what he do and try to figure this out with him and his family.
Last question. I want to ask you about the WNBA. Their collective bargaining agreement is coming up. You got a lot of players now publicly asking for more money. How do you see that playing out? I assume you feel like these players are dramatically underpaid.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's underpaid, yes. But what we see we see the WNBA game growing, right? And when you're growing and you're a part of that growth, you want to participate in the upside of that growth. And that's all that we're seeing from these WNBA players. Now they understand what's going on. They're not saying, hey, give us all the money. They just want to participate in the upside and the growth of where this WNBA is actually going. And if we could sit and have those honest and open conversations, then yes, we can figure this out. I think that it's going to get ugly before it gets better. And I just want the women to understand that it's going to get ugly and be prepared for when it gets ugly. And if you're not prepared for that, let's figure this out. The money is going to come. You know, this league, what we've seen the WNBA over the past 4 or 5 years, six seasons, we've seen the growth. We've seen expansions. We've seen new arenas. We've seen you players. We've seen excitement, broadcasting deals, partnerships, sponsors. We've seen all of that grow in the past 5, 6 years. So in the next 5, 6 years, we're going to see that league grow substantially. So I would just say be patient, continue to fight, be patient, but understand and have a real plan and strategy on what you're fighting for.
Carmelo, enjoy your exhibit. Congrats again on your Hall of Fame induction, and I look forward to seeing your drip in the coming weeks. Months.
Listen, we got a long time. We got 111 games to go up there and speak and have fun and enjoy it. So shout out to Marnie for the outfit.
There you go. Thanks, Carmelo.
Thank you, guys.